radio data is and how to analyze. This is not like an image in the optical telescope. You can't see the image directly from the radio data. So you have to analyze and lots of things. You have to process your data to make a final uh, image or the final data product. So this tutorial session is dedicated for the analysis of the GMRT data, and you will learn lot of this. So Arnav, please go ahead.
Okay. So you see my slide, right?
Yes, Arnav, yeah, we can
Yeah.
see.
Hello everyone. So I am Arnav, final year PhD student at IIT Indore, and I'll be delivering the first day tutorial on the radio data analysis here. And so I will go to data and show you how to process with the data and how to load data and visualize it today. And before and parallelly, I will show some slides which I already made beforehand, so that you will have the idea regarding a wide big data set and how it looks like. Okay. So the brief plan of this tutorial is that we have already shared the tarball of the casa link, and we hope that all of you have downloaded that in your laptop. And so all you need a Linux based laptop, and if you are using Mac, then contact Proshun, because I do not use Mac and I don't know about Mac. Also, you are doing in Windows machine, I don't know how to do it in Windows. So if you have a Linux machine, you are good to go. And we have also provided a small data set, and which is also being uploaded in the Google Drive, and the link was shared by Somir yesterday in Slack channel. So if you download that data set, and you can uh, do the analysis alongside with me. So this is the first time we are doing in this school in online mode, and so the plan is that we will do some online live demonstration how to process the data and how to visualize it, how to calibrate image. Not all the tasks we are able to show here. And earlier, in that is in previous workshop or school, what we have done is that we do this hands-on session, that is all the participants do it in their laptop live, and after all this calibration and imaging, they get an image or something like that. uh, so here in this time, if you are unable to do it alongside with me, you can do it in night or at any time, whatever you want, and you can always come back to Slack or ask question next day or right now also. So the brief plan is, first day I will be talking about how to install Casa, and then loading the dataset in the Casa. Then I will show various plots in the Casa, so that we will have the idea how real observation data will look like in radio. And there are some bad data which are already we have identified, and we have written a flag file. So we'll just show one flagging option here. So there are several, many modern algorithms have already been developed by different groups, and to flag bad data from from your observation. And those we will go into here. Then there will be various plots after flagging, means how the data looks like before flagging and after flagging. And then I, if the time permits, I will set the model, that is the model of the calibrator. And from tomorrow, Bornali and Pritha, so first Bornali will show you the basic calibration using a single channel dataset, and Pritha will show you the calibration and splitting of the target dataset using the full bandwidth dataset. And the last day, I will again go to the imaging of this calibrated dataset, and I will briefly demonstrate of the self calibration and imaging on the last day. That is the brief plan, and we see how it will progress, and maybe there will be some changes down the line. Okay, and you stop me anywhere wherever you want to ask questions or something. Okay. So first, these slides will be shared on the Slack and also in the Google Drive. You can download it later. Just remember that Casa is basically a software application tool. These are basically maintained and developed by NRAO in New Mexico, USA. And if you click on this link, you will see that page, and there are there in the at here. Where is my cursor? Okay, huh. At here there is a downloadable link. If you click it, click on this uh, download, you will see that there are different versions of Casa, both for Linux and Mac, and you can download whatever is appropriate for your machine. However, the suggestion is do not download the latest version, that is Casa 6.1 or something like that. Uh, Download little bit one or two versions, earlier version, so that you those are already well tested, so there will be not be many problem on that. And then it is extremely well documented. So if you click on this documentation, then you will see some a page like that, and it is considered extremely well documented. It is the interface is basically Python. I will show you in a little bit. The interface is basically Python. You do not need to write any code here, so that is the big advantage. Every code, every task, those have already been compiled, and those are inside this Casa. All you need to do, you need to choose some specific option in different tasks, and you just need to run those. You do not need to run anything else. And Casa will basically solve every calibration solution. It will do the imaging and everything whatever Proshun and Poonam said in last few lectures. All these calibration, how to calibrate the data, how to image, all these modern algorithms, those are inside the Casa. You do not need to write any new code here. And to understand what are the tasks available and how to do it, there are many Casa guides available. If you click in here, you will get this. And there are very nice tutorials also based on VLA dataset. You can learn from there also. Okay, so let's now shift to terminal. Okay, so sorry. So first I will show you how to install it. Okay, so I hope everyone have downloaded.
You just ask them that if they have able to download or what is the status current. Can you just ask them?
Mm, yeah, anyone can say if there is any problem or something.
Have you already downloaded these or just any problem? I think you have to do now or after that. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to grasp all these things. So I think I request all of them, all of you, to just. I have not got the data. You have to download from the Google Drive link that I have shared actually in the school. Yeah, you have to download the data from the link given in the Slack. So I think I suggest all of you just to download the data and also the Casa and install it before today or after that, because otherwise it will be very difficult to grasp all these things. So please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so as Homi said, if you are not, if you have not downloaded, please do it. And if you face some issue, then we will sort it out later. So if you download the Casa tarball, you will find that this kind of tarball you have downloaded, and all you need to do just let me. I have already entered it. Let me move it something. Okay. So you have this Casa tarball. All you need to do is just enter it. Okay. by this command tar minus xf and this tarball. So it will do the and it will take some time, obviously, but it will work.
Yeah, I have just copied and pasted the post by Arnav and Shami in Slack in the chat box here. So if you wish, you can.
Okay, actually, since I am doing in my laptop, it is taking more time. But if you have some big machine, it will not take that much of amount of time. Okay, and but it is important. There is this is basically how to install Casa in your laptop. So all you need to do, enter it and then add the path in your bash rc and it will work. So I saved the tarball here in downloads and within a folder which is software. I keep that tarball here. I'm just doing the enter here and this. Hello.
Hear you. Oh,
But I stopped sharing screen, right? Okay, sorry.
yes, yes, your screen is.
Not one second. Now I see my screen, right? Hello.
Now you can see, yeah.
Yeah. So the enter is done. So basically you will get a folder like this. Now all you have to do, go to this, right? And then go to bin and then ls. So you see that the executable is here. Casa, this is the executable command and it is placed in inside the bin. So all you need to do pwd, that will give you the present working directory. Okay. And you just copy that path. Copy. Fine. And then you go to home, cd, open your bash rc in any editor. I am opening it in gedit dot slash bash rc and Okay. So here you just need to add your path like this. Okay. So let me comment it out. Basically, since I have been working here, so I already have this thing. You need to write export path.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what
So
you can do is you can just copy paste this into the chat box to everyone. So
yes, but then I need to stop sharing right now. I cannot go to
okay,
chat box,
okay, okay, okay.
but I will provide this in the slide and I will upload it.
Fine.
Okay. So all you need to do, you just need to add the path here like that. So that's all. This is done. Then Control S save, or you can just click it here in save. It is done. So you just need to add the path and then you may close it. So source is done. Then right. So I have all successfully installed my Casa. And how to open it? The opening is very easy. You just need to write Casa. That's all. And enter. It will automatically open. It will take some time in your laptop depending upon your RAM and everything, but it will eventually open up. Yeah. So the another point is that whenever you open Casa, there will be a log file alongside with it. It will show all the tasks, all the executable, whatever you are doing, and it will store in this log file. And you can always check here what is going on. I will show you in detail what you will find out here. But let's go back to this thing. So that is done. So you have all successfully installed Casa. So basically the steps are following. You need to download the tarball, then you untar it, place it somewhere, then you go to inside that folder, go to bin. There the Casa executable are situated there. All you need to do, you have to copy the path. You do pwd present working directory, that will give you the path in Linux. You just copy that path, you put it in your bashrc like that, whatever I have shown you, and then you save it and you do the source. Then if you go to your terminal and write Casa, it will open up. And alongside this, it will also open up a log file here, and all the tasks, whatever you are going to execute, it will show the result here and how it is progressing, and everything is being kept here in the log file. Okay. So that is basically how to open the Casa. Now now I will exit from here and I go to the data folder where I have stored the data. Okay. So first cd I have stored here. Okay, my bash RC has some problem. So let me close this and go here, tutorial 1, open it in a terminal. Now, so basically the idea is what you store your data in a folder, in a different folder, and you store the flag file in a different in the same folder. And you go to that folder and you open Casa from that folder. You can open Casa from anywhere, but it is advisable you always open your open the Casa software wherever you store the data from that folder. Okay. Otherwise, you need to provide the path where the data is stored. I write Casa here. So I am just opening the data, opening Casa inside my data folder. So as you can see, if I do ls, so the data is this HD142990 GSB smaller partially flagged dot fits file. So whatever I am showing you in here is that I will take the whole data set. That is, this data set I know from previously that this data set has 256 channel, 33 megahertz bandwidth, and one scan in of flux calibrator, one is phase, one is target, and another phase. However, the data provided in the Slack in the Google Drive to all of you, that is a small data set, much smaller than this one also. That is the central 32 channels only. So we have kept a small 32 channel data set in that Google Drive, and that data size is probably 150 or 200 MB. However, this data set is almost 1 GB. So that will be difficult for all of you. So that is why we thought it would be better if we share only central 32 channels, and you can work on that also. Similar to this, there is no difference as such. Means other than the number of channels is less, there is no other difference with that data set. Okay, so you can work with that data set in your home laptop or somewhere. So first task is that we need to convert this feeds file, that is, dot feed is the format of that data set. Okay, that is observatory will give you when you observe with GMRT or say VLA. They probably give you in that feeds file in that format. So first task is that we need to convert that data file into the Casa readable format. So that task name is import UV feeds. Okay, so there are different tasks inside the Casa, and there are lots of tasks. We will show only a few, and whatever the task we are using, we will be using in this tutorial. All of this will be shared within a slide with all of you. So no need to worry about memorize anything as of now. Just follow whatever I am doing here, and you can always come back later and ask the question. So first task is so. So what I am doing is that I do the default, and within this bracket put the name of the task, which is import UV feeds. So your data is in the UV feeds format, okay, and I am importing that data in the Casa readable format, and that is called .ms format or measurement set. Okay, so what I am doing, default import UV feeds, and then whatever inside the import UV feed style, what are the options available inside the import UV feed style, that can be seen by INP for input, just INP. So you can see that there are three options. One is feeds file. You need to provide the feeds file, whatever is there in your data folder, and you need to give an output, that is name of the output visibility file. So every task inside the Casa, it has a short description also. What you need to put as this different option. These options are also described very shortly inside this task name. Okay, so what I am going to do, feeds file equals to I within string. See, you need to provide this within a string, and how to provide it, that is also mentioned here. If it is a floating point number or integer or something else, it will be shown here also. So since it is within string, I need to provide the name of your data file within a string. So I just click on this, copy it and paste it here. Okay, and then I need to give a output name. So name of your output visibility file, that is the measurement set MS. This is basically Casa readable. Casa can only read the data in this particular format. Since the observatory provided you this .feeds format, we are just importing the data in the Casa readable format. That's all. So I can give it any name, but I will choose like this, HD142990 .ms. So .ms is my extension that is called measurement set. I give any name. You can give any name here also, and that is done. And then whatever you have chosen as your different option within this task import UV fields, you can check that these are correct or not. Let's do INP. You see that whatever options you have provided, it comes here. Okay. So that's all. You do not need to do anything else, and you just run go. It will work. Okay. So it started progressing. You can see here in terminal also, you can open your Casa logger and you can see that here it is also started progressing. You are the task has started import UV field, begin task import UV field, and it is showing that whatever options you have chosen, you provided feeds file is your data file, you provided vis as your target or output visibility name, and then it started on converting the feeds file into the measurements. That thing is also recorded in the logger file. So it is showing you converting feeds file, that is from this feeds file to the measurement set and whatever the name you have provided. Okay, so it is basically doing this job.
So Arnab, this log file, is it optional or it always generate this log file?
It always generates log file, but you can open Casa without the log file if you want to do that, but it is not advisable, right? uh, if you get some error or if you get something, then you need that log file. Okay,
Okay.
to check. But by default it will always give you a log file, always, doesn't matter what happens. Okay, so my task has ended. It shows you that end task import UV feeds, and it is showing in the log file, and it is okay. My laptop gets hanged, sorry. Huh. So if I go to my terminal again, it is showing that 10, 20, 30, and it is progressing and 100% it is done. There are some warning. These are default warning. No need to worry about that. And as Raghuda said, that you can always check in the logger what is going on. This is called Casa logger. And whenever you ended today's task, whatever task you have performed, it is stored in the log file. So next day, let's say you go back again and try to find out what you have done it yesterday, and is there something wrong, you forgot something, no need to worry. You just open the log file in your any editor, gedit, emacs, or any editor, and you can check whatever you have done previously and where you need to start again. So that is the advantage. Casa will always give you by default a log file. Whatever you are doing in this terminal, it will be stored in the log file. Okay, so fast task is done. We have converted the feeds file, that is the observatory given data format file, to the measurement set that is named as hd142880.ms, something like that. And we converted this feeds file to the ms file via the task import uv feeds, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything else. So if you do the ls, you find that along with your feeds file, now the measurement set file is also there. So the conversion is successful. You have the data file in a Casa readable format, and now you can proceed with this data set. So first thing to check whenever you get a data, first thing to check is the list of, that is what is inside the data file. So
Or
the
no?
task, yes,
What is that .last?
dot
.last.
dot lst. So sorry, whenever you run a task, Casa will always give you whatever you have run as a let's say in a dot last file. Okay, so import uv feed is the task name, whatever you have run right now, and dot last is basically gives you whatever the options you have chosen and whatever you run inside for that task, that is saved here. So you can always go back to this import UV feeds task and what actually options you have chosen earlier. So let's see how to do it. Let's say default task name. So when I am going to do it again, then it will change the options of the import UV fields to the default. So let's do INP and you will find that not a single thing is stored here. Okay, so you are back to square one. So the options you have chosen in the import UV field, that is gone. However, you can always go back to whatever the option you have chosen before, and the reason behind that, that is stored in this dot last file. So to get the options, the name of the task is tgate. Tgate, you just need to provide tgate import UV feeds, enter. So it is showing you restored parameters from file import uvfields.last. So that is the advantage. Whenever you run a task, it will give you dot last file, that is the task name dot last file. If you do the default thing, or you may exit Casa right now and you can open after 10 minutes, you can always go back to the parameters which you have chosen for that task via this command tget import UV fields. So it will do restored parameters from the file import UV fields.last. Now you do INP and you can see that these are the options you have chosen before. You just okay. So that is another advantage of working in Casa. So fine. Okay. Now going ahead, now the first task is the list of tasks, which basically gives you whatever inside your data. The task name is list ops. So I am doing default list of. So all the participants no need to memorize this task. Basically we will provide all these things inside a slide, and also the py file whatever we are using here, me, Preeta and Bornali later. And you can always try to do it on your own later. So first I will do default list of. It will set all the parameters within the list of tasks to the default, and to check what are inside the list of, I need to do INP again. So you see that these are the different various options which I know I do not need most of these options. All I want here is that I provide my visibility file which I have just created, that is the .ms file. Name of the input is visibility file here. So I will choose it vis inside a string. Here the options is inside a string, and I provide HD 142 like that. And there are various other options also. You don't need to provide those here, but one thing one can do is there is a list file here. Okay, you can store the output in a list file, so that later you can just open this list file in your gedit or anything, and you can find out what are the fields and everything inside your data. So that's all I have done. INP, I have checked that I put the right parameters here, or choose the right options, and all I need to do, go. Okay, so it is executing this list of tasks and it is done. Now all you can do is that you open your Casa logger and you see that this list of is done. However, to see what is inside, you do this ls and you find that there is a list of dot list. You can open it inside a, let me show you. So you do ls, so there is this list of dot list. It contains all the information you need. I am opening it in one editor. see, this is basically giving you whatever inside your data folder, right? So first you want to see that there are four scan 1, 2, 3, and 4. And every scan, first you have observed 3C2A6, this is a flux calibrator. Then you observed a phase calibrator which is closer to your target. Target is this one, HD1429990. And then again you observed another phase calibrator. So this is the inside your data folder. So at first, from this time range to this time range, you have observed 3C286. Then from this time range to this time range, you have observed the phase calibrator. Then you observed for almost 11:17 to 11:57, that is almost 40 minutes, the target field, and then again you observed a phase calibrator. Okay. Now, how to know which one is flux calibrator, which one is phase calibrator? I know beforehand, basically, 3C286 is a well-known flux calibrator. Another way to check is that your phase calibrator from that, so you transfer your calibration solution from the phase calibrator to the target. So you need a calibrator close to the target. So you can check from here also RA deck that what are the position in the sky of these different sources. First check what is the target RA deck. So target is lies at this 155834 RA minus 244953 Drake. And you see, you find that this 1626298, this is your phase calibrator, this is closer to your target, that is it is in 1626 and minus 2951. However, this 3C286 whose position in the sky, that is RA deck, is far away from your source, that is it is in 1331 and plus 30, declination is plus 30, right? So from this also you can understand, say you don't know beforehand what is your flux calibrator, what is your phase calibrator. In general, people do, people observe it, and people have to provide whatever they want to observe to the observatory. So they know beforehand what is there. But let's say you don't know and you are given some data set, how to figure it out, which one is flux calibrator, which one is phase calibrator, which one is target. So this is target HD1429190. And as you see that this phase calibrator is closer to your target, so and also it is observed two times, that is one before the target and one after the target. And this is definitely your phase calibrator, and at the beginning you observe the flux calibrator. Okay. And another thing to notice is that what is your frequency setup. You have 256 channels, and channel width, each channel is width is 130.208 kilohertz. Now, one thing to notice is that the bandwidth here is 0.0. It is showing 0.0. So this is some error we found at the last moment, that while writing this data set, there is something wrong in the header. Okay. Or something is wrong while writing this data set. That is why it is showing your bandwidth is 0. But this is not the in general the case. There is definitely a bandwidth. Basically, one can argue that if you have 256 channel and each channel has a width 130 kilohertz, so if you just multiply this, you should get a bandwidth, right? So bandwidth should not be 0. But here we found that it is 0, and there is some problem in writing the dataset. So no need to worry about that. You can always figure it out what is the actual bandwidth of your dataset. CTR frequency is basically the frequency of your central channel, and that is giving you 607.66, that is nearly 608 megahertz. And CH0 is basically the frequency of the first channel. So your observation started at 591 megahertz, and it has this bandwidth 130 times 256. So that basically gives you 32 megahertz bandwidth, and this is your frequency of the central channel. And you have two correlation, RR and LL. So we do not take RL, LR here. So this is only Stokes high. Okay, RR and LL. And later, and in this later part here, it is basically giving you what are the antenna coordinate, east to north elevation in this format, and also it is giving you in the geocentric coordinates the coordinates of your antenna. And it is also giving you, since this is a GMRT data set, the diameter of the GMRT, each antenna is 45 meter, and each antenna is ID as C00, C01, C for central core, and E for in different arms. So C00 is basically the 00 antenna at the central core. C01 is 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay. So this is in your list of. So that basically tells you what is inside in your data set. right? So
So Arnav, the first part of this list file, this is something which the observer had to give for before setting the observation, right?
right, yes.
So okay, and that will
So
be
but
written in the feeds file, and then you transfer that information to the .ms file.
right.
Okay.
So the idea is whenever you want to observe, you know whatever you want to observe. You need to choose a flux calibrator and phase calibrator. Phase calibrator should be near to target. And ideal way to observe but conduct a observation is like you observe a flux calibrator at the beginning, then you go to phase calibrator, target, phase calibrator, then again target, phase calibrator, like that, and then you end up with another scan on the flux calibrator or something like that. So you know beforehand. But let's say you do not know, let's say someone gives you a data and how to figure it out from the data set. This is the procedure. You will find that one calibrator will be close to your target and it is observed multiple times in between the target, and one calibrator is away from your target, which is a typically a bright quasar, and it is far away from your target. So from that you will understand, okay, these are my flux calibrator and phase calibrator, and this is my target. Okay, that is in general the rule. And then you can find out what is your number of channels, what is your bandwidth, and etc. But note that whenever you want to propose and whenever you want to observe something with any telescope, you need to provide this information beforehand. That is, you want to use that many amount of channels, that is your bandwidth, that is your central frequency, that you need to provide beforehand, before any observation is being conducted. And also I forgot to mention, this 8 second is basically gives you the correlator dump time or syndication time, or people, many people called it in different names. So basically this is your time average. Basically each every 8 second you are averaging your data set. Okay, so 8 second is basically people can call it indication time here. So that is all along the list file. People should note this down, and we have already provided everything in the slide. Okay, so now let's go back to the slide and start from current slide. Okay. So that is what I have done, converting the feeds file to the measurement set in CASA, and this is the list of stars, and you will find out, you have already seen this thing. So note down the important values are what. So 3C286 is your flux calibrator whose ID is 0 and scan number is 1. So first scan is on 3C286. Then the second and fourth scan is on uh, phase calibrator, and HD142990 is your target. The ID is 2, and the scan number 3 is for that for that observation. Okay, so you know that number of channel is 256. Your channel width is 130.208 kilohertz, that you have already seen in your list file. So it is easy to understand what is the bandwidth. 256 into the number of channels times the channel width, it will give you 33 megahertz. Okay. So another way to understand, let's say you want to observe from the beginning and you want to propose some observation to GMRT or VLA. So the easiest way to do is that you click on any of these link. First link will give you this thing. You provide your array and deck of your target, and it will basically gives you what are the calibrators are available closer to your target. Okay, and if you click on the second link, it will give you the calibration list. What are the calibrators available, what are the flux values, what is the RA deck, and everything that is already stored in this list of VLA calibrators. If you just click on this, you will find that. So another thing is that this is a task. Okay, I will should show it. This is the antenna position for from your measurement set. So to find out what are the antenna position or to generate the plot, the task name is IN default plot ends. So default is basically making it the default parameters, and plot ends is basically your task name, default plot ends. And if you do INP again, you will find that everything is in default. You provide vis equals to your data file, and you, if you want to save this, this option is basically giving you fig file. If you provide a name of that fig file, it basically save the plotted figure to this file. Okay, so fig file, I call it antenna underscore position dot png. Okay, inp. I checked it. It is fine. Now just go. So while it is coming, it is coming. Basically, this is showing you the antenna position. We all know GMRT has a Y kind of structure. This is the central core, and these are the arms of this Y kind of structure. So you get that you generate this plot from your dataset. So as I show you, all the antenna coordinates are written in your MS file, and what all CASA do is that it generates this plot based on the position of these antennas, and you find out that this is in Y kind of figure. And I hope Poonam already show you this figure before. So I cross it. Okay.
So at this point, the whole data, is this like in the RAM, or is only reading part of the data from the file which you are providing?
No, it is reading the part of the data. It is not
Okay.
taking the full cache memory right now.
Okay.
But when means whatever the options you will provide, based on that, it will read that much of data. Okay.
Okay.
So now again go back to slide. Now you can plot the elevation versus time, and this I should show you here also. So to plot anything, the major task name is INP plot MS. Okay, INP. Sorry, let's say default plot MS. Now INP. So there are many things, many options are there, and you can plot your data file in this task. So first I provide the V's, that is here, V's, that is the input of my measurement set name. I choose x-axis, this option, x-axis equals to time, y-axis equals to elevation. Okay, and also to reduce the data volume while plotting, all I am doing average channel. I have 256 channel. I am averaging all the channels. Now INP.
Just one thing I want to add. So if any input is wrong, then it will be red. So blue means if the suppose that time in the blue, this means your input is correct. If suppose put it time one something x-axis, it will be red, means that input is
Right, right.
not valid. Can you just, yeah.
Okay, let's do this thing. Average channel equals to 250. I am giving it the integer number, and then INP, it is coming out to be red. Why is that? Basically, I need to provide this within a string, but I have provided it just an integer number, right? Average channel equals to 250 in integer number. That is wrong. So if I do it inside a string, and then if I do INP again, it will give you a right option, right? Average channel equals to 253, and it is coming out to be blue. So that it is basically showing you that you are doing right. If it is red, then something is wrong. Okay. So what I want to plot here, I provided my data file. I provided the in x-axis time, in y-axis elevation. That is elevation of the observer of different observation of different calibrator and target, and I am averaging the channel 256. That is because I need to reduce the data volume so that it will plot quickly. Also, another option I am providing, that is color axis. Color axis I am providing field. So it will basically color different field in different colors. Okay. So then again INP, and it is coming out to be blue, and so that means I am correct, and just you need to do go.
It is plotting. I would like to ask a quick question. So you
Yes,
are
sir.
mentioning scan, but what exactly scan mean in the observation?
Okay, so basically this is basically a numbering, right? First you point your telescope to the 3C286, and that
Okay.
is your scan number 1 or scan number 0, something like that. Let's say scan
Mhm.
number 1. Then you shift your, so 3C286 has a particular array and depth. Now you know you have to observe phase calibrator. So you shift your telescope towards the phase calibrator array and depth. That will be your next scan. So you just identify as a scan number 2. Then you shift your telescope towards the target, and you observe it for say 5 minutes. Then it is this is basically numbering. Then it will be scan number 3. Then again phase calibrator, that will be scan number 4. And let's say you want to observe a flux calibrator at the end, then it will be scan number 5.
So
Something
whenever
like
I
that.
am moving my telescope, that is one scan.
Yeah, whenever you are observing like that, yes, one scan 1 2 3, basically it is numbering. Whenever you want to call, let's say I want to I want to check whether scan 2 is problematic or not, you can just point to the scan 2 in your casa, and it will plot your data for the scan 2 only. And you want to find out, let's say, if my scan 2 is bad or not. Okay, maybe your entire observation is not bad, not RFI dominated, but something happened for scan 2. You can just provide your scan number, it will plot the scan 2. If you want to say check scan number 10, you can just do it for the particular scan. So it is basically you're isolating the data in different scans and giving you different numbers. Okay, so let's come back to this plot MS task or plot MS tool. So it is a beautiful way inside the cursor to plot or generate different plots of your data file. So that what basically it gives me is that in the beginning, I know that I observed at the beginning the flux calibrator 3C286, right? And it is giving me the elevation, it is close to 78 degrees or something. And then I observe the phase calibrator here. So different color corresponds to different field. So black corresponds to here 3C286. I know that from the list of stuff. I observed flux calibrator in the beginning, then phase calibrator, then a long stretch for the target, that is a 20 minute, 40 minute scan, and then there is another phase calibrator. So we have provided you a small data set here, but this is not the case. People observe play for 8 hours or 10 hours, but we cannot provide this large data set here, or we cannot do the live demonstration based on this large data set. However, I'll show you in a little that what the elevation versus time plot looks like for a large data set. So here you see that you started the observation at 1040 and it goes up to say 1210 or something like that. So in the beginning you observe flux, then phase, then target, then phase. Okay. Now few things to
And after
show
that,
you.
again, I am going for a flux calibrator, or I am
Yeah,
observing it.
yeah, you are you after this phase calibrator you can go you back to your target again. But here the data is being cut off, means we take a small chunk of data and provided you here. So there is no observation beyond that point with this small data set. But I will show you how it will look like for a long data set, okay,
Okay.
in a minute. So few things to notice is that one thing is that you can export this image. You do not need to go back into the terminal again. Since the plot MS is open here, everything you can plot here only, and there is no need to go back again to the terminal and exit this plot. You do not need to cross it here. Okay, you can just change everything by choosing different options. One can play around here, choose different options, generate different plots, and understand it, and also save in while doing this. So if you click on this export option, I can give it a name elevation, say time.png. I can choose high resolution image, and if I click on in export, it will save. All right, if I do ls here, you see that this image already come up. So now plot something else. So I know that the 0th field, the ID 0th field is my 3C286, right? And okay, let's plot this UV versus U wave and V wave. So I go to axis. This is x-axis. I click here time, and there are different options. You can plot different things. So let's first plot U wave and V wave. Okay. Now go to display. I choose colorize by field. Here I keep it like that. And instead of plotting averaging these channels, I stop that and I generate this plot. Let's see. So since it's taking time, I generated this.
Can you just go back? Yeah. So Raghu's question, so whether that data is loaded in the memory. So you see there is a reload option.
Yes.
So if you click on that, it will reload the data into the memory. Otherwise, it is right now it is just processing it from that.
So since it's taking.
Yeah, done. I'm done. Yeah, done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it freezed or what happened?
Arnav is there, right?
I am not sure. I think his laptop freezed or something happened.
Okay, I mean, participants can ask questions if they have, right, in between.
Yes, so I will ask one question to Prasun. So Arnav mentioned this 8 second of averaging or integration time, but this is what when observation was done, I think the measurement was done in a higher resolution in time, and then an average was done to 8 second. Is it, or is the 8 second of?
Yes, you are right. So in GMRT, depending on the bandwidth, so if you have a 32 megahertz bandwidth, you will initially sample the data, I think, say 30 nanoseconds or something. Okay. And then later, so there are a lot of processing goes on after that. The 8 second is just, so there is a maximum time over which you can average the data, which otherwise will average. So we are talking about that smallest grid in the delta in the baseline, right? So yes, as you are seeing that the antenna, as the antenna position changes, your it makes a baseline track. A pair of antenna makes a track in the baseline plane.
Yes.
So if that track has a length, I mean, if you integrate over delta t, if that track goes beyond your delta u, which is 1 by the field of view of your telescope, then you will have problem. So for GMRT, for example, it's 16, you should not go beyond 16 seconds. Okay, but the smallest time is, I mean, you can record the data at say 1 second time interval. You will have 8 times the more data, and your computer will not be analyzing.
I mean, this 8 second or something like that is only like we don't want a bigger size data. I mean, in principle, we can record in millisecond or something like that.
Yes, but and we will see. If I get time, I will talk about it in the lectures. That it is actually better if you can record the data at smaller time scales. But there are caveats that if you record it at smaller time scales, the noise in each visibility is also more. So you'll probably not be able to calibrate at that smaller time scale. And if you cannot do that, then there is no point of getting that data, right?
Ah, okay. Yeah.
If there is a strong RFI signal which lasts for 1 nanosecond, then obviously we will be able to take that out. That may be helpful.
There is not advantage of like RFI or something like that of doing a bigger time averaging, like 8 seconds. We don't have any advantage from RFI
No, we have
mitigation
so
or something.
if you
We
have,
have,
a RFI,
okay.
if you have a RFI which is of a smaller duration, then say if I am doing 8 second average within 1 8 second, if I have a RFI of 1 millisecond, I have to probably flag the entire 8 second data. But if I had a 1 millisecond recording, then I would have only flagged that 1 millisecond and saved most of it, the 8 seconds. So that is why one tries to go to smaller time interval.
Okay, and RFI flagging, that has been done after we load the data, and I mean,
yes,
okay.
Obviously.
This data has the, okay.
There are certain on the fly RFI calibration also. And if you know some RFI is already there, you can also flag that, which is very observatory specific. But otherwise, it is done after you load the data.
And for like observation of pulsars, so they must have to keep the time interval very small.
Yeah. That they will have much smaller time interval. Yes.
Time interval.
But they are also not recording interferometric data, right? So they have that the data is so what I talked about today about the electric field, and at that level the data is at that level, if you wish. You don't have any correlation after that.
Right.
Should I call Arnav and check?
Perhaps that would be a good idea. Probably he is restarting or also restarting everything.
What happened?
I think Arnav's laptop hanged, maybe due to the amount of data or something. So yeah, he got disconnected and now he's not here.
But what was his plan? He just about to complete, or just he will take some?
Well, all the connection is
Prasunda,
lost. So
can you?
Prasunda is probably trying to contact him. So
Okay.
No, I think he will take some more time because he has not come to flat portion yet.
Sorry, Pritha?
Can you hear
Pritha?
me?
Yes.
So I'm telling that Honorable needs more time because he has not started yet the flagging.
So I think we have already out of time. So should we?
Maybe we can
let him join. Let him join. Then
Yes.
Just a second. So Arnav said that his laptop got hanged and he's trying to come back.
Okay. I think let him.
And
let him
maybe
join.
after he joins, he can postpone it
to next day.
Yeah, I think tomorrow we can have like 10-15 minutes, whatever is required. Then we can start the.
Yeah. I think let him join. Then yeah.
In the meantime, is there any other question?
Hello. Hi, sorry.
Hi.
So my laptop got hang. Okay. So let me go to the slide. That will be better. And
how long will we take today? Like we are thinking if we require like 10-15 minutes, you can have tomorrow instead of today because we are already overshooting the time. So
okay.
Whatever, like if it is like very short, then you can continue today.
No, I just loaded it. I need to show some plots and it will take some time. Yeah, maybe half an hour and more. So let us do it tomorrow. That will be better. Okay.
So in that sense, Samir, is that okay?
Yeah, I think that would be better because we have already out of time. So
So
Let's
people can just load the data in the Casa in their own time and let us know whether it is working or not. And
So at what time Arnav will continue tomorrow?
maybe your half an hour.
Oh my. Okay. But before me, it's Borna.
Okay, the first half an hour of Borna is say maybe
Yeah.
15 or 20 minutes or something like that. Not more than that.
Yeah. So we have changed the schedule a bit. Please have a look at the website, and we have updated the schedule.
Mhm.
Actually, it is better that if Arnav talks about it tomorrow, because some part of the things that he will discuss, I will cover in the lecture before that. So
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that will be better then. Yeah, tomorrow.
So tomorrow schedule is in the morning. Prashun will have his second lecture, and then Arnav will finish today's tutorial, and then Barnali will have a tutorial, and then again Prashun, and then by PS. Now it's PS.
Pritha, Pritha
Ah,
Saha.
Pritha. Yes. Sorry, Pritha. We can make that. So, yeah, Samir, do you have anything else to announce or?
No, I think, yeah, let's stop this session and we'll meet tomorrow again. Yeah, thank you, Pashun, and thank you, Arnav, for this. Yeah.
Okay. So
Right.
see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye. Yeah.